Thank you for listening and subscribing. Make sure to leave a rating and review, and make sure to share this episode, as somebody out there needs to hear this message today.
I'm Adam Ivy, and you're listening to a brand new episode of Thriving Beyond.
Welcome to Thriving Beyond, the podcast with stories of thriving through when the obstacles are far from few. Here's your host, whose own story has been featured in Chicken Soup for the Soul, Vidal Cisneros Jr.
All right, everyone, welcome to Thriving Beyond. I'm excited we have Adam Ivy with us. Adam has been featured in CNBC, G4 TV, MTV, and the E! Network, as well as dozens of nationally syndicated radio programs. Adam is a music producer, brand strategist, and award-winning creative marketing specialist who has established himself as an authority in the online business world. As an early adopter of the YouTube platform, Adam turned an $800 investment at 23 years old into a six-figure online income. Adam has also created and implemented marketing techniques that accelerate his brand recognition from initial launch to viral fame in under 24 months. That is phenomenal. I can't wait to ask Adam some questions once we start diving in. And as a music producer, Adam has worked with over 2,400 independent recording artists in 23 countries, companies such as Burger King, MTV, Clear Channel Media, as well as major recording artists such as Mod Sun and Kevin Gates, just to name a few. And Adam was named one of the 150 great marketers to follow in 2015 by Dave Kerpen of LikeableLocal.com. Adam, holy cow, I have to catch my breath, man. You've got some accolades and credentials there. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. And yourself?
I am doing great. Just
awesome.
Enjoying this summer weather with a summer shandy, a Leininkugel's beverage of choice.
Absolutely.
So if you could kind of tell us a little bit about your latest venture that you have right before we start diving into the actual episode.
Yeah, sure. Well, I just launched a brand new fitness and lifestyle apparel brand called Jusbi. That's Jusbi. Kind of playing on the words just be. And that's really what it's all about. You know, Jusbi is a socially conscious fitness and apparel brand, or fitness and lifestyle apparel brand, rather. And, you know, our mission is to promote health and happiness rather than the vanity side and aesthetic side, you know, of working out. You know, too many brands these days, and Jusbi was kind of created out of frustration because I was so sick of seeing advertisements portraying a fit body as a body with ripped obliques and a 10-pack and a sick tan and all this stuff. And you know, to most people that are fitness enthusiasts, such as myself, I mean, I work out 6 or 7 times a week, so don't get me wrong, but I mean, I see it way too many times with my friends and family members that, you know, have kids or whatever. And, you know, when you go down to the pool or down to the beach, you shouldn't be embarrassed to take your shirt off or wear a bikini or wear, you know, just some, you know, board shorts with pride, just because you see these other advertisements that are kind of, you know, brainwashing people into a unhealthy body image. And that really bothers me. So the brand is Jusbi. Our mantra is just be authentic. And that's really what it's all about. It's just finding health and happiness, you know, and embracing who you are, because as you know, the fitness journey is a never ending thing. And if you don't love yourself today, and, you know, if you don't love yourself the first day you walk in and pick up the weight or get on the treadmill, you're not going to love yourself, you know, when you hit those fitness goals any more than you would today. So, you know, it's an apparel brand. We sell t-shirts, joggers, and a bunch of other great stuff. You can check it out at jusbi.com. But that's the premise of the new business. And, you know, it's more than just t-shirts. To me, it's a mission, and I really look forward to seeing it grow.
Very nice. A socially conscious fitness and lifestyle apparel brand. Love that.
I appreciate that, man.
So we're definitely honored to have you. If you could sum up one sentence or less, Adam, what you do out in the world, what would that sentence be?
One sentence. I talk a lot, so this is a challenge for me. But I would say that overall, I take action on ideas and then turn that into businesses or ventures that impact other people's lives in a positive and uplifting way.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a question about this $800 of investment that you turned into 800, or I should say a six-figure online income. Could you just
absolutely,
if you could share that, maybe like a little 2-minute segment?
Sure.
We'd love to hear about that.
All right. So in 2009, I lost my job, and it was a very abrupt end to a job that I actually really enjoyed and I was very good at, in my opinion. And there was just some political things that happened. And next thing you know, I was let go. I was denied unemployment. I had less than $1,000 in my bank account after I paid the upcoming month's expenses. And I said, you know what? I had been making a little bit of side money selling beats online. I had been, producing for a couple of years at that point. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take this money and I'm going to try to supercharge this whole income thing. And if I fail, I fail. I'm already, unemployed with no income. It can't get much worse than this. So I took that $800 that I had left. I mean, I had a little bit more than that. So I allocated about $800 into online promotion through various different websites and just started going really, really hard on selling music online. And within 24 months, I had made over $112,000 and kind of became the go-to for a lot of these kids that were coming up asking me, how I got to where I was. It wasn't easy. I would spend 14 to 18 hours a day either making music or trying to build my Twitter following or doing YouTube videos and just got on it. You know what I mean? It was that hustle gene just kicked into high gear with not having any type of safety net. I remember getting 5 to 6 phone calls a day, and that is not an exaggeration, from the finance company that, let me buy my car, letters on my door from the apartment complex I was living in, essentially saying, hey, you really owe us rent. You're really far behind. So if you don't pay us, we're just going to kind of remove you. So it was either between, paying a car payment here or staying in my apartment. And somehow, magically, I was able to keep my car. I was able to, make ends meet on a delicious diet of ramen noodles and eggs for about 3 months. And, man, yeah, that was the grind right there. But, I just took the money and reinvested in more advertisements, in building the brand and finding graphic designers that could help me look a little bit more professional, because as you know, online marketing and business is so much based on perception. You really have to look polished in order for a lot of people to kind of take you seriously. So that's, I mean, I could talk about this for hours, honestly. But that's the really kind of rough, dirty version of it. I took all the money I had, bet it all on the farm when it came to my music, and somehow made it back and just kept building it based off of what I was learning, the trial and error aspect of it, and made it a full-time income for quite a while, actually.
Incredible story, Adam. So now that hustle muscle has been flexed and it's getting stronger, what do you do in the morning, Adam, to get you revved up, or maybe a routine that you'd like to share that ignites your day, man?
So I am probably a really boring guest when it comes to this morning ritual thing, because I really don't believe that you need a morning ritual in order to become successful. I lean one way pretty hard on that topic, but there is a couple things I do every morning when I wake up. So as soon as I wake up, I go and I drink about 20 to 24 ounces of water. That's the first thing I do. I feel like it gives me energy in the morning. It refreshes me, and, being dehydrated isn't really an option. So I do that. And then I try to utilize about 30 minutes. Sometimes it's a little bit more, a little bit less, of silence. I don't hum, I don't sing, I don't talk to myself, which can be difficult at times. I just kind of be quiet and stew in my thoughts and try to just start the day very peacefully. Try to resolve anything that I might be stressed out about heading into the day. And I don't, sit on a yoga pad or do anything, particular to be quiet. I just, stay quiet for, like I said, about a half an hour. Then I get to it.
Plain and simple, get to it.
That's it.
That's the name of the game. So back when you were facing back when you were facing that tough life storm, and you were talking about eating ramen noodles and doing what you had to do just to get paid somehow.
Yeah.
If you could paint that life storm picture for us, what else were you doing back then, and what were some of the struggles? If you could really go from a global perspective.
Sure.
And then give us the curbside view where we can just see exactly the struggles that you were facing.
All right. So, like I said, I had lost my job. I had fought with what do you want to call it, the Florida employment, whatever, to get unemployment. I lost the appeal, and like I said, I didn't have any money to the point where my gym was 1 mile, not even 1 mile away. It was like across the street from where I lived, and I didn't have enough gas in my car to drive to the gym and back. Which wasn't a big deal, I walked there and back, but I didn't have enough money to run the air conditioning. So I would leave my apartment at like 84 degrees during this. This was during the summer primarily. And I live in Florida. So let's face it, it's hot even in the winter. So I didn't really have money to run air conditioning. Like I said, the food situation was kind of, I'm not exaggerating when I say that I ran off of eggs and tuna and ramen noodles. Those were my go-tos. It was just a really difficult time. All of my family lives in Wisconsin. So I'd say for a good 18 months, I wasn't able to travel to see them. There was a couple months where I couldn't afford internet to actually continue doing what I was trying to do online, where I had to borrow money from family members or, I guess now that I recall, I was dating a girl and, I need to send her like a bunch of roses or something, she'd probably prefer money because at the time when we were dating, she was just paying for everything. And I felt so bad, but I was broke and I'm still friends with her, by the way. So I think I'll talk to her a little later today, but anyway, that was just, I guess the overview of it was just, it sucked. It was not fun at all. I mean, there was multiple times where I said, you know what, this might not work. I might as well just go back to the grind of finding a job. I didn't really care. In fact, I do think that there were a couple applications that I put in. Thank God that they didn't call me because it was just, when you're so focused and it wasn't even, like so many times as an entrepreneur, you're like, when I make $1 million or when I make, 6 figures, I wasn't even worried about that. I was worried I need to make $400 this month to pay my car. I need to make $50 to pay my internet. I need to make, I think it was like $700 at the time to pay my rent. And it came together every single month. I had friends who were like, you are a miracle worker because you could need the money at 5 o'clock and at 4:59, somebody's sending you money to buy a beat or, I guess there's more to it than just beats that I didn't, touch on earlier. Besides selling beats online, I would do any hustle work that I possibly could for anyone. I was designing club flyers for DJs and different clubs, and I was designing menus for restaurants. I was doing, website work, and at the time I was creating custom banners for people's Facebook and YouTube, layouts and all that. Like I had Photoshop and I figured it out enough to make a little bit of money. And the people that I was catering to weren't looking for the best possible product. I'll be very open and upfront about that, but I was cheap. And, for $25 here, $50 there, it adds up, especially like I said, when you're working 14 to 18 hours a day. So I didn't have a TV or anything at the time. I was just literally staring at screens all day and making it work.
Right on. Okay, so for the next question, Adam, I wanted to ask you, what was the aha moment that empowered you out of this life storm?
I think my aha moment was the fact that I realized one day that my life and my destiny kind of correlated directly with the amount of work I was willing to put in. Right after I had lost my job, I decided, you know what, I'm going to put a little bit more effort into this, see if I can turn this into more income. I honestly, when I set out to do this, I just wanted to be able to pay the bills. Like I wasn't planning on turning this into a big business or anything. I said, I just wonder what I can accomplish if I spend like a full day's, full time focused on this little side hustle that I was doing. And I realized very, very quickly that the more emails I sent, the more people I interacted with on Twitter, the more phone calls I made, the more business was coming in. And I'm like, wow, like it seems like such a elementary concept, but when you're so used to punching in and punching out and getting, that little bit of a check every couple of weeks, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense as to how to build your own thing. So the aha moment was I had I had an email from a club promoter and he wanted me to do a couple flyers. And I said, hey, just letting you know, I have way more time. I'll be able to do more of these for you if you need. And he's like, oh, that's great. I actually have 2 other clubs I'd like you to, do flyers for if you have the time. And that little, I'd say maybe like $100 gig turned into like a $1,200 gig over the next 2 or 3 months. And the numbers might be slightly skewed. I mean, this was years ago, but it was like significantly more money just based on putting myself out there and offering more services and offering more of my time to people. So that was my big aha moment where I said, I'm in control, where I can make more money in the comfort of my pajama pants than I can, driving an hour back and forth to work every day if I just focus and, take care of my customers.
All right, Adam. So is there a mantra or a prayer or an affirmation that you use to empower you through those rough challenges that you were facing?
I don't know if there's a mantra per se, but the overall mindset is, just be authentic and trust your gut, really. I learned a long time ago that the gut typically doesn't lie. And if something feels off, it typically is. So I try to just be myself in everything I do, try not to, imitate or mimic anyone else, and just go with what feels right.
And what's some of the best advice that you've received from coaches or mentors that helped shift life for you back when you were going through that life storm?
I think one of the best pieces of advice that I received from my Uncle Jack, who happens to be one of my mentors, he said, follow your enthusiasm, not the money. And that was kind of impactful for me because it made so much sense instantly. It was just certain things I was doing in various stages of my life. I was doing them for the money. And I thought, oh, you know what? I could do this and I could do that and I can make a ton of money, but I didn't feel great about it. And what I want to do now in life and what I have been doing is following and going after things that make me excited, genuinely excited. If I could talk your ear off about something for like an hour or two without you being very interested, I know that that's something that I'm passionate about and I'm enthusiastic about, because not a lot of people are enthusiastic about things in general. And when you find that one thing, whether it be, somebody who's into cake decorating or working on cars or fitness or whatnot, you just see kind of like a shine come out of them, right? You see their energy just, uplift. And I think that's important to go after that. So, like I said, I just follow that. And that piece of advice has really changed my life and kind of guided me in a lot of different directions that I otherwise may not have gone down.
Man, I definitely agree with you. When I see people's eyes light up once they start talking about their passion, their dreams, whatever it is that they let go of and they want to start doing again. And it's like, then the conversation kind of dies and digresses into, well, I can't do that anymore because it's not making me money. It doesn't matter though, if it lights you up,
that's
it
right.
can still be a hobby and it's still adding such intrinsic value to your life that I know it's going to create a life shift for you. So definitely agree with you. So now if you could give our audience of thrivers that are listening right now, maybe a 2 or 3 step formula to best thrive beyond adversity, whether it's eating the ramen noodles a certain way when you're going through it.
That's right.
What would some of the steps that you would share with them be?
I would say, adversity is subjective in my opinion. So you can either let it hold you back or use it as part of your why. I always, every time that something kind of, bad happened to me in my life, I'd laugh it off and say, this is going to be really, really interesting when they make a documentary about me someday. And I don't mean that as in a narcissistic way. I just, use it as everybody has a narrative, right? I always say to everyone, I say, everybody has a story. Everybody goes through adversity and your story is what you make it. You could either be a failure because you let it, bring you down, or you can, be even more inspiring to the masses by powering through and not letting it hold you back at all. So I'd say that mindset would really be the ultimate starting place. Is where are you going to start mentally? From there, I've heard a few other people say this, but I agree 100% when it comes to reverse engineer your vision. If you want to own a tire shop, if you want to own a bakery, if you want to be the best podcaster, out there or whatnot, reverse engineer. What does that look like from square one? You could see what it looks like all painted beautifully at the end, whether that be a materialistic thing, like, oh, I want to own a Lamborghini. I want to have a house in the woods in Montana and go hunting 4 days a week. reverse engineer that. How are you going to get to that point? And like, I mean, everything down to the monetary side of things, to the relationships side of things, the location side of things. What does that look like? And how are you going to get there and be patient with it? So I'd say the most important step of anything, though, you could even in ways disregard the first two, suggestions, would be follow through. So many people have grand ideas and have dreams and passions, and they don't they don't follow through with them. And that's kind of what breaks my heart, is when I see somebody with such a talent for something or such a passion. It can be like we were just talking about, they could talk about it for 24 hours straight, have lockjaw from talking, but, just you see almost like that childish glow come from them, but yet they don't have the, intestinal fortitude to follow through. And follow through is everything. Without follow through, nothing is going to happen. So the mindset, figure out how to get there in the form of reverse engineering your vision, and then following through on the little steps. And, one other piece of advice is, I like to say, don't worry about how many jelly beans will fit into the jar. Just worry about putting one in at a time. And that really just, represents the steps it's going to take to get to your ultimate goal. It's so easy to be overwhelmed by the grandiose of, I am never going to get to that 8-bedroom, 5-bathroom house when I'm living in a studio apartment, in the hood, and I've been there. I don't have a 8-bedroom house, by the way. But anyway, if you focus on the steps and doing your best to make each step count, you're going to get there a lot faster. Count the length of your strides per se, more than the actual overall steps it's going to take to get to where you think you want to be.
A freaking man, one step at a time. And a quote that I kept thinking about with every word that you mentioned. I was thinking about this quote. And I probably am chopping it up, but it's something along the lines of 1,000 hours or 1,000 days of thinking of doing something is trumped by you just doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's gospel right there, my friend. I mean, that's thinking about it. And that's what holds so many people back, is overthinking about it. The paralysis by analysis. And I see it every day, and it happens to me. I mean, we all suffer from it. And, taking action is the only way anything's ever going to happen.
Exactly. I kind of want to dive into even John Wooden stuff. Now, we've heard all this stuff that we're talking about right now on the episode. It's foundational, it's fundamental, but that's what made John Wooden so great, is because he taught the fundamentals. He taught his players how to tie their shoelaces right, how to wear their uniform. He went above and beyond with the fundamentals and made it a lifestyle, right? And that's pretty much what we have to do, is follow through in every aspect of our life. If we said we're going to call Jane back, well, then let's call Jane back. Otherwise, we're creating a new ritual, a new habit that we're allowing that we don't follow through on stuff. So it doesn't matter how long you take, just follow through. And that's something that my first millionaire mentor taught me right out of the gate. He said, just follow through. That's the only thing. Just don't talk about it. Just follow through, no matter what you're doing. Okay. So our last question before we wrap things up: if there was a statue erected 100 years from today, and if there was a statue that was to be erected in the image of Adam Ivy, and Adam is to be remembered for one legendary thing, what would that legendary thing be for you, Adam?
I don't know if this would be one legendary task or something that I did, but I would say I would love to be remembered as breaking the cycle and inspiring others to do the same. And what I mean by the cycle is, I come from a very blue collar, family that was living on very little money, and that's kind of the cycle of what, people from where I'm from fall into. And, I'm not looking down at all, but I always knew that there was more that I could offer the world than working in a factory till I was 65 and retiring, hopefully, with $2,000 a month or whatever I would end up with. So breaking the cycle, and in turn inspiring others to do the same, meaning they saw what I did and I brought them along with me on my journey. I gave them all the tips and tricks and, was completely transparent with what I was doing in hopes that they would do it too. Because sometimes all a person needs is, you putting them in the right direction. You don't even need to give them the playbook. You just have to say, go that way and, take some steps. So I hope to impact millions of people in my lifetime, and I'm just getting warmed up. And what that life looks like, I have no idea. But I know that if I take action every day and try to be a positive role model in this space and in any space I kind of dabble in, I know that someday that's going to have a ripple effect, with anybody that I kind of hopefully touched, if that makes sense.
Absolutely it does. I know you've touched some listeners out there. So what's the best way for our listeners to connect with you, Adam, right now?
I would say pretty straightforward. If you want to find me on Instagram, Snapchat, or Twitter, I'm at Adam Ivy. That's ADAMIVY. You could find me at adamivy.com.
And for more about Adam Ivy and his new clothing line, head on over to justbi.com. That is JUSBI.com. Adam, it's been fun. Thank you for joining us. And as always, if somebody else out there needs this message, please share this episode with them. And keep going, keep growing, and keep thriving, my friends. Thrive Nation, because it's way better than just surviving. Until next time.
Thanks for listening. For recaps and to claim bonus gifts, head over to thriving beyond podcast.com. Keep thriving.